just listen to the clarity tools, it's giving people the confidence to use them and to have those conversations with the clients. So I think that's what you and Gordon are going to be talking to us about now. So
exactly that. And I hope everyone's all right. I hope you've had a good, full and interesting morning. We've got this session now will end at 11. So you do get a break then to get your coffee cups refreshed and so on. And we do aim to always end on time. So my background is the behavioural sciences. I love working with people who want to do something, have the intention to do it, but just don't do it. And I help them figure out what that is and make some shifts. So what I've done for this session is I've literally taken what I think to be some of the key bits from different what would you call them, modalities possibly, but different areas of study of in my experience that are sort of the highlights which might hopefully be useful. And I know, Gordon, you're going to be helping me with that, and there's quite a lot for us to cover. So with that in mind, I am going to get started. What do I want to cover in this session? Well, again, it's that, why even bother investing in doing this sort of stuff? Why do you want to get better at any of these things? We talked about it, for those of you here yesterday, we talked about it a little bit with regard to the sort of financial benefits of getting better, but I'll cover that in a bit more detail. What drive behaviours, what actually makes us do stuff. And there's a little bit of sort of social sciences and behaviours for us to think about. It's a fairly light session, so nothing too deep and meaningful, so enjoy. Please have your cameras on, because it's lovely to see your faces, and please do use the chat. It's an important part of our communication, because then it means that you can be having that little input as well at the same time as while I'm working. But this is, again, this is no webinar. I'm not here to talk at you. Please do get involved, and we're going to get you into a breakout room shortly too, if that's okay, Gordon.
Yes.
Yeah, we're almost ready for that one. Right, okay. So let's start with the why bother developing. Now, this is just a piece of research I picked out, but as we discussed yesterday, there are so many different researches that are pointing in the direction of soft skills are actually a lot harder than we've given them credit for in the past. And actually the soft skills are the ones that are much harder to train. You can get somebody who's got brilliant people skills, is fearless when it comes to asking questions, thoroughly enjoys engaging with clients and solving problems, and then you teach them to do accounting. It's even better. But that's not always the case, and quite a lot of the people who choose to go into accountancy might not naturally be those who are the more extrovert or more confident. So it is a skill set that's worth investing. Is that your experience, Gordon?
Exactly that. I think we said yesterday that a lot of the people on the call, maybe partners, have had to develop their own way, their own style. But I so much wish I'd had a little bit of training early on that would have made the world of difference. Because it's a decision largely, which we'll probably come on to, as to how you want to present yourself, etc. But just to have had some of the training and knowledge at the beginning would have made a world of difference. So.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that you're always too busy to invest in. I've got to get stuff done, and I need to go on a course to be happy at presenting, or to enjoy being on Zoom more, or to feel more at ease asking questions.
They say in the UK that the number one fear is public speaking. Number two is death. Apparently, people are more afraid of speaking in public than they are of dying.
It's not just the UK. That was a piece of research, although it was done in the 70s. I don't think anybody's ever changed that opinion. But I suspect that's because they've got more experience of presenting than dying. So,
or experience of dying whilst presenting. The worst of all worlds.
So, I mean, it's a good point. That we learned that at school. So if you remember back in your school days, standing up in front of a group of people and having to read something or answer a question or be put in the spotlight, and all of your mates snigger or just laugh out loud or take the mickey out of you, your brain goes, oh, I get it. Okay, so standing up, speaking in front of a group of people, bad. Let's not do that ever again. Avoid.
Yeah.
So that way, every time you try and stand up and speak in front of a group of people, your brain's going, no, this is a survival issue. Seriously, don't do this. So it pumps you full of adrenaline and cortisol and all the stuff that makes you shake and like you were saying yesterday, all the blood and oxygen goes out your brain and into your limbs so you can fight or flight. And then you can't think. And then we wonder why we don't like presenting. So I'm hoping to address some of that.
Yes.
I'm hoping to address some of that today. So this is why I believe soft skills are actually a lot harder than we give them credit for, and possibly the most important skill set for you to invest in now and going forward. And it's not just for work either. It's life skills. It's, relationship stuff and friend stuff. And so let's cover it. Let's change the world in 40 minutes. Right. Okay. This is we all have an iceberg. Don't you love an iceberg model? This is my representation of how I see all of this. So we want to learn some stuff. We want different results. You want to interact more easily with your clients. You want to be able to get instructions for more and varied services. You want to just enjoy networking. So you want some different results. So you go on some courses and you learn some stuff. And you learn this stuff, these things, so that you can do some different actions. You have new behaviours in your toolkit. This is why you'll join Armadillo and come on the academy and find out how to do all the things that you want to do so that you can actually use those skills to get the results. But here's the thing I've discovered over the last few years, 15 or so. There is what I call the should line, which is beneath that line is actually the stuff that drives what happens above it. The first level is our feelings. So you can have been on the training on how to use the new software, or how to ask questions, or how to run a client meeting, and it doesn't feel good. So you kind of avoid it and send an email instead, or get someone else to do it. And that I think we don't necessarily appreciate how important our feelings are to what we actually do or don't do. If you think about it, we strive to be wealthy because we want to feel secure. We strive for success because we want to feel important and recognized and valued. We strive for relationships because we want to feel loved. So everything we actually do is always what we're really after is a feeling. So this is where it gets interesting. Where do feelings come from? Well, thanks to fMRI scanners, we now know that every feeling you get physically in your body has started with thought. Something happened in your brain. It made a couple of dendritic connections. Something jumped across the synaptic gap and your brain went, oh, thought, there you go. Have that one. And that then creates a physical change. Your endocrine system sends out new messages. You get a new set of chemicals in your body, and that equals a feeling, whether that feeling is scared or excited. And what's really interesting for me about this is it's not the thing you think is causing the feeling. It's actually the thinking. And by this, let me explain. So I went to London a few years ago with my husband. I love doing daft things. I've done firewalks and bungee jumps and things like that. And I looked at the London Eye and went, cool, nice view. Looking forward to going on that. My husband stood next to me and went, oh, that's really high. That's really unpleasant. I know she's going to want to go on it and I don't want to. So I had excitement and motivation. He had fear and guilt.
Same experience, two entirely different. Same
exactly.
Outward experience, two entirely different internal experiences.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the cool thing, and it took me a while to figure this out, the London Eye actually didn't do anything. It just stood there. It wasn't its fault that we had the feelings we felt. It was how we perceived it. And this is what I want to try and hopefully get across in this session today. Underpinning all of that is something that we don't talk about in professional services. It's a bit emotional and fluffy, but I'm getting it in there. Warmth, love, understanding, compassion, trust, just how we feel about ourselves and about the people that we're working with. Imagine using that tool you've just covered, pulling out those questions with somebody that you were genuinely in love with. You would just be like, oh, tell me about you and how can I help you even more and how can we make you more money and how can we do. You wouldn't be thinking, oh, I can't ask that question. I'm not suggesting you fall in love with your clients. I get that that's not always possible, but it's a shift. It's a different way of thinking. But certainly if you look at leadership models and leadership training now going forward, you will hear words like compassion, connection, warmth. You know, one of the best-selling business books out there at the moment is 5 Dysfunctions of Team, and that's all about trust. So this is where I'm hoping to go. Does that make sense for you, Gordon?
Yes, I was thinking there that the Milton Erickson, master hypnotist, used to say that all buying decisions end in a feeling. People might look at something, they might try something on. Ultimately, they say to themselves, how do I feel about that? And you do it to yourself all the time. How do I feel about that?
And what I love about Milton Erickson, he's one of the world's leading experts in behavioural change. He gets people to do stuff differently just by accessing that and tipping into helping them shift that feeling. And when we feel differently, we do differently.
Yep.
So, yeah. So let's explore where that all comes from. But first of all, let's talk about what are the things that you'd like to feel differently about. So in a moment, if it all goes well, Gordon's going to pop you into breakout rooms. And I just want you to have it, because this is a network. We want you to talk and make friends and meet each other. I just want you to have a few minutes, probably 4 or 5 minutes, on what are the things that you like to do that you don't just dive into. And typically the things we hear in professional services, I don't really like networking. Or if I go networking, I don't like starting conversations with strangers. I don't like asking for instructions. You know, I'll leave it with you. I'll send you a proposal. Have a think and email me if you're interested. Just those little things that might make a significant difference to the success of your client meetings if they weren't in the way. So just have that conversation. What are the things that you would love to do but don't? And have a think about what stops you. I suspect I know what the answer will be, but let's see what you come up with. Gordon?
We're going to create hopefully 3 breakout rooms. So what's going to happen on your screen is it's going to take you to a separate little room with maybe about 5 others, a little discussion, and then we'll bring you back to the main screen. There's nothing else for you to do but unmute yourself and have a conversation.
Get your cameras off, say hello, make new friends, and then come back and tell us what you thought. This is always the exciting bit, isn't it? It's like, is it all going to work? How are we doing?
Well, my screen says that breakout rooms in progress.
There we go. We can slowly see people disappearing. There we go.
Nobody's left on their own. Yeah.
No, well, I've opted to not join the breakout room just so I can have a quick word with you while they're having their chats. So we've still got Chris and Joanna and Roy. They haven't been allocated to a room yet. Are you able to do that?
They are allocated, but
if you can hear me, Chris, Joanna and Roy, you might need to select the option to join, which should be on your screen.
Yeah. Looks like Roy's maybe stepped away from his screen because it's still on. I'm not sure I can make them join. I think they have to.
I think they do have to opt in. Well, that's okay. If they're still in the room, then they're perhaps not really with us. They've nipped off to get a coffee or something.
Yep.
Okay, so just to check in with you, Gordon, how's this morning been going?
Good. Yeah, good. Excellent session with Ainsley. It's an interesting software tool he has to help with business development, and then the support behind it to help accountants actually take action on business development. And part of that was having the confidence to do it, having a self-belief. So
I might, because we're a little bit behind on time, I might skim past some of these things fairly quickly. So
sure.
Bear with me if I go through it fair amount of speed.
Because of the time, I'm happy to let you run with it and just speak to me when you need to speak to me, kind of thing. I don't want to interrupt too much. So
if that's all right, yeah. I want to bring you in because we said that was important.
Yep.
So there's a couple of slides where I think I'll just skim through,
okay.
because they're very visual and it's just kind of light. And then there's a couple of times I'll bring you in. So yeah, okay. I think we'll close the breakout rooms now because they haven't had very long, but they've probably had enough just to have the experience.
Did I send a message?
If you close the breakout rooms, depending on how it's set, one of two things will happen. They'll have a 60-second warning,
right.
Or they'll all be yanked back in the room in an instant, and they'll be kind of, what's going on?
Right. Okay. It gives them the 60-second warning anyway. So I've just gone ahead.
That's good. There you go. So they've got a little sign that's come up in their room now saying the breakout room's going to close in 60 seconds.
Yeah.
And if you feel like being really clever, you could probably, I haven't got full controls. So you could probably send them a message saying, coming back into the room.
That option was there, but rather than start to type something there, I stopped it and just closed the room.
Yeah. But they'll figure it out.
Yeah.
It's just
It's the first time I've tried to use it. I've been in a breakout room before, but I've never been in control of doing it.
Well done, though. You did it.
Yeah. They've got 7 seconds. I don't know if you can see that, can you?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
And here they come.
Hopefully welcome back.
Oh.
Were you all in a really good conversation then and you got yanked out the room?
Yeah, we were. Yeah.
So this is why it's so important to network, get in touch with each other, speak to each other afterwards as well. Right, okay, so let's just have a look. Have we got all the rooms closed yet? Is everyone back in?
I believe so.
Okay. If you're not in the room, shout now. It looks like we've got everyone. Right, so this is the interactive part. You actually have to unmute and talk to me. Tell me, what were the things that you came up with?
Can't say no.
Not saying no.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the client goes, oh, could you just add this, and this? And you go, oh. Yeah. Or in what context, Ian, was it Anthony, whoever spoke? What context is the saying no part?
Well, I think it's saying no to clients, because you want to be helpful, cooperative, and you're worried they're going to go somewhere else if you say no, so you say yes to everybody. I think I was having a chat with Alana, and I was saying that personally, when you first come into practice, you're young, hungry, perhaps with not that much on your plate to do. So you do all the networking, you do all the introducers, you say yes to anything, and then over time, as your portfolio grows and you spend all your time networking with your clients rather than with other people, and you don't want to say no to them.
Yeah, because you don't want to upset them, and I'm going to cover that one in a sec. Yeah, it's a challenge. Yes, Anthony.
I was just relating this. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we can hear you, Anthony.
Go ahead, Anthony. Yeah, we got you.
I was just saying, Matt asked me a question because we were talking about how, as you said, how to say no. I had a call last night on the way home from a former client wanting to come back. And after the conversation, my wife, first thing, she was traveling with me, she just said, did he pay his account? I said he was a bit dodgy about that. And so she just said, well, why would we really want him back? It was very easy.
What was the outcome? Did you say yes to him?
No, he said he was going to send me his lifelong story, but I told him to put it in a very short story, what he wanted. He hasn't sent it, so there's no further action required.
Yeah.
But you didn't say no.
I didn't say no. I was a wuss for that. Okay.
Here's my favourite trick on saying no. Ooh, a little phone dance. So here's my favourite trick on saying no. Don't say no, because we are taught as we grow up, saying no to other people, especially grown-ups. Ooh, bad. Don't go there. You can't say no to a grown-up. And we grow up and we don't realise that we're actually still in that place. So we're in a sort of level playing field. So we still go, oh no, I can't say no. So don't say no. Say yes and. So Anthony, can you take me on again? Yes, and our fees have gone up substantially now, unfortunately, due to the level of work that we've got on. So it's somewhere in the region of about twice what you were paying before. Is that still okay with you? They say yes.
Or yes, if I do that, then what I'll need from you is
yes, and or yes if you pay up front and hold a deposit with us.
Yep.
Then that's absolutely fine. Or yes, and actually I would put you onto one of my associate companies who we've got a very good relationship with, because I think they are more in line with what you need now. So you're still not saying no, but you're still not accepting what they're offering. And Ian, sometimes saying no to a client who you don't want to upset can actually create a situation where you upset them more.
Mm.
So imagine you're already at capacity, your bucket's full, you've got a ton of work to do. And the client says, can you just do this? Oh, and I need it by tomorrow. And you say, okay, yes. And then you end up doing it when you're tired, you're doing it late, you're trying to cram it in amongst other things. Possible mistakes can happen. Maybe the client doesn't get the same experience that they're used to, and then they're an unhappy client. As opposed to, can you do it by tomorrow? Yes, and I would have to bring in several other people and put some work off that I should be doing first thing in the morning. Therefore, I would need to actually charge you quite a considerable fee. Is there any particular reason why it's that deadline? Could we move it to about a week down the line? So it's still a yes and or a yes if.
A yes on your terms.
Absolutely. And why should you not be demanding your terms? You've only got one life. You've only got 24 hours in a day. Kind of really down to you to be able to say whether you use them for them or not. But that's a mindset shift, isn't it? It's that actually I am important. And we're not taught in this country to think that way. It's very much a...
There's a mindset shift, but at the same time, you've just given a couple of little tools to help with that shift.
Yeah. Say yes and then you don't feel bad. Yes and yes if. So, okay, let's have a little think now about this whole stuff that we're talking about, because what you've described, that sensation of I can't say no comes as a result of a feeling. In Ian's case, it's that feeling of I don't want to upset the client. In Anthony, it was probably the same. I don't want to let somebody down. I want to help them. So that you're after a sensation of being that sort of helpful, kind person. Anybody else want to chip in from their conversation in the breakout rooms? I'll take that as a no then, and we'll continue to move on. So, feelings then. Here's the thing about feelings. Always fascinated me. This took me a while to figure it out. Here's a little shopping list. You can have any one you like instantly without any effort at all. Pick 3 that you really like and just put them in the chat. One or maybe 1 or 2, but that you really like. You go out of your way and you go, I want that. Yeah, that's nice. If I could just eat from that buffet table, I'll have those. I'll fill my plate up from over there, not over here. Let's see what we've got coming up in the chat. I'm hoping you're all familiar with the chat. If you're not, there's a button towards the bottom of your screen. And if you click on that, it opens a little box that you can type into. There we go. Happy and relaxed. Ah, wouldn't it? Those are 2 of my favourites. Playful and cheerful. Absolutely love playful. If ever you're feeling miserable, getting into a playful state is awesome.
Yeah.
So playful, cheerful and happy. Brilliant. A few more. So, and is it fair to say that you, like most people, you would love to just have that all the time? Can we just feel good, happy, relaxed, chilled, playful? And we tend not to choose from that other offering of stressed, burnt out, frustrated, unhappy. Trusted. Anthony, that's one of my favourites too. And when you do get that right, it's amazing what it does for a team as well. Okay, so we can recognise what we'd like. It's not difficult for me to guess a few that you would choose to not have, such as fearful. And some of these are interesting. So defiant, you might think that's actually a good one, and others might not. Cheated is a horrible one. Sad, hateful. These are all basically feelings that we'd like to avoid. Do you agree? Thumbs up? Yeah? Here's the thing. They're all made of the same stuff. They're all exactly the same process. Whether you get a good feeling or a not good feeling, it comes from the same source and it's created in the same way. If we understand that, we have more control over it. So this is what I want to share. So it's all about perception. Your brain sees the environment, sees the situation and goes, in order to deal with this, I need you to feel this. So I need you to have these chemicals. Here you go. Here's some stress, or here's some oxytocin, which is our love chemical, or here's some dopamine, which is that kind of I'm awesome reward chemical. So when you look at this dress, let's just pop it into the chat. If you see a blue and black dress, put a B. If you see a white and gold dress, put a W. And let's just see what the breakdown is. So Matt's seeing white and gold, as am I. Oh, we've got a few W's. I've only had it once where nobody saw the blue and black. This is unusually proportioned towards the white. Oh, it was bluish and it's now changed. That's cool. That's bizarre. How is that not an equal balance? We usually have roughly 50-50. That's fascinating. I wonder if it's something to do with the colours on the screen. Or maybe just... So here's the interesting thing. It's actually a blue and black dress. Have another look at it. Get your kids to look at it. But our brains look at it and go, no, I think it looks like this. It's partly to do with the photograph. It's partly to do with the frame. It's mainly to do with your brain's interpretation of that image, and your brain decides what that is and then responds accordingly. Let's try another one. There is something not quite right with it. So if you can find the mistake, type it into the chat. Yes, Matt, straight on it. Have you seen that one before? So I did something similar with this with over 9,000 policemen a few years ago. It's quite scary how long it took them to figure out that there was two there's. But this is a brain process. This isn't you. This isn't an intelligence thing. This is your brain going, I don't need that one. It's not relevant. I'll just remove it from view.
Blocks it out. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because we've just got too many things. It's called the process of deletion. So what we do is we delete, we distort, and we generalize. Our brain's got so much data to process. It's all too much. If you think about the amount of information we're taking in all the time. So it narrows it down for you. It takes out what it thinks you don't need. For example, there, the two there's. Matt says he likes to be right. Yes. Noted. So it takes out the two there's. If you don't need that, remove. It distorts what it thinks it understands, but it's not quite sure of, so it'll kind of adjust it a bit. You might have seen that popular email that went around a few years ago, and it was all written, all the spelling was wrong, and yet we could read it at the same speed that we would normally read something.
But everybody's brain potentially is deleting different bits, so two people could see the same accident and have different versions of the event.
Exactly, which is why I would never join the police service. What a nightmare they had to do. But yeah, so we have this situation. Our brain is doing stuff. We have no control over it. It's nothing to do with intelligence. But the important thing is it's all about perception. It's taking in the external data. It's trying to make sense of it and decide what that means, and then feeding that to your brain. And that's what your brain then says, in order to handle that, you need this feed. Let's just look at a couple of other examples. If you see a grey shoe with a kind of pale blue turquoisey coloured lace, put a G for grey. If you see I think it's the shoe's pink and the lace is white, but that might be the wrong way around. If you're all going to get grey and blue, oh, there we go. I thought we were going to have some strange, really weird coincidence here. So we have got to mix this time. So I've never seen a pink and white shoe, but I'm told absolutely that it's pink and white. Gordon, what do you see?
I was trying to figure out what colour turquoise was there, but I see a grey shoe with green.
Greeny, yeah, pale greeny blue. It depends on your interpretation of colour, and that's a whole other thing.
Yep.
So we're all looking at the same thing. We're all seeing it differently. That could have an important impact on what your brain decides to do with it. And why that's important is your brain's going to be the thing that gives you the feelings, and the feeling is the thing that drives your behaviour. So all of this comes down to confidence in a minute. Is the image of the female turning clockwise or anti-clockwise? If you see clockwise, put a C. If you see anti-clockwise, put an A. If you see it change, and I'm not doing anything, by the way, not pressing any buttons. If you see it change direction, put a B for both. So most people are seeing clockwise. Matt's seen it change. Anyone else seeing it change direction? Yep, Anthony, you've seen it change direction. Now, genuinely, I'm not pressing anything. I'm not doing anything. The image isn't changing.
Just did. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what's happening is your brain is seeing that, and it's going, okay, I see it. It's a naked woman in a shady room going clockwise. And then it might go, oh, no, maybe I've misinterpreted that. Perhaps it's going anti-clockwise. And this is where you see the shift. Some of you might not see it change at all. And that can be interesting. If I'm standing here doing a presentation telling you it's a clockwise turning female and you're going, no, it's definitely anti-clockwise. But that's another course that we run, which is all about communication and interpretation. So in the meantime, let's have a look at that. It'll drive you nuts. If you want to look at it for longer, Google it. It's called the spinning lady. It isn't going clockwise or anti-clockwise. It's a bunch of pixels on a flat screen, and your brain is interpreting that image shift to make it into something that's moving around in a room. That's important because, again, you're all doing it differently. You're seeing it differently in different ways at different times. And these are just a couple of simple examples of how your brain is messing with your experience. In its defense, doing the very best it can to make sense of what it's seeing. So, in the interest of time, I'm going to crack on with this. Why this is important is if you're seeing monsters, you're seeing monsters, whether they're actually there or not. If you're seeing scary clients, you're getting scary clients, whether they're scary or not. If you're seeing fearful situations and frightening environments, then that's what you're experiencing because that's how your brain's interpreting it. The cool thing and the bit where you get the control is recognizing that it is just a brain process. It's an organ. It's an organ. You know, we've all got one of these. It lives inside our head. You've also got a pancreas and a liver.
In the dark.
In the dark, yeah, absolutely. So you've got a pancreas and liver and a heart and lungs, and we know how they work reasonably well, and we do what we can to stay healthy and look after them. We don't really understand, most of us, what our brain's doing that's out of our control. And when we do understand it, it takes away the things that stop you being confident, because confidence is always there until you start having thoughts that stop you feeling confident. So let's try and highlight that a little bit further. You see a thing. You remember this from school science? You see a thing, the data reflects off the information or the light, whatever, reflects off the thing into your eye turns it upside down, and then it goes into your brain, and your brain goes, okay, it's a Ferris wheel. It's a London Eye. Got it. The really cool thing is if you're in a low mood and you're feeling lousy, maybe you're dehydrated and you haven't had enough to eat and drink, and your thinking is quite unhelpful, you'll probably see it in a slightly distorted way. So you'll see it less positive, maybe only one angle of it. However, if you're in an awesome mood, you've had a great start to your day, your thinking is bright and you're feeling well, you'll see it slightly differently, slightly higher in your mind's eye. You might even add a few sparkles that aren't even there just because of the mental state that you're currently in. This is why it's that bottom level of that iceberg. It's that mental state that comes from connection and warmth. So your performance is equal to your potential for performing in any way possible minus the interference. And the interference is the thought. The interference is coming at you constantly, without hesitation, every day of every moment, and when you're asleep, going, oh, what about this? What about that? What about this? You could see it that way. You could see it this way. When we can see that for what it is, it's just a organ function. It's a brain function. It doesn't mean anything. Just because there's thought in your head, you don't have to do anything with it. Just because that thought in your head says, oh, I couldn't do that, you can just walk past that and move on. So we're
already awesome, but the only thing that gets in the road of showing that is our own interpretation.
It's just thought. It's like the sun is always there. We know the sun is always there, even at the moment, but we can't see it because there's thoughts in the way. Or there's clouds in the way. Yeah. And it's like that. Your innate well-being, your confidence, your okayness is always there, but sometimes you can't feel it because there's thoughts in the way. You don't actually have to do a great deal to get rid of the thoughts. You just have to put your attention on something else. Start thinking, changing the thought. If you're thinking, oh, I couldn't go and have that client meeting, they're too important. If you change that thought in the moment and go, okay, instead of thinking that, I'm going to think, okay, I'll give it a go. Could be fun. Or I'll give it a try. I might learn something, even if I do a terrible job. And that will instantly shift the brain chemistry that you're experiencing and therefore the feeling. Sounds too simple. So all of that reference, all that information that you got from Ainsley about asking questions, we often don't ask questions because, again, in the UK, we're taught we really shouldn't ask too many questions because you're being nosy. Or it's useful for our clients to ask some questions. It's helpful for our clients to ask some questions. It helps them think. It helps them process. It helps them consider things they hadn't thought about. You know, or it hadn't really occurred to me that I needed a better business plan because actually I'm getting close to retirement age, or actually I'd like to make more money this year. I hadn't really thought about that. And you need to be able to be comfortable and able to ask those questions. And again, comfortable's a feeling. So freedom from imposter syndrome. I've put this in here because I've worked with quite a lot of people in professional services, and it can sometimes come up. Imposter syndrome is possibly the most popular buzzy word at the moment when it comes to coaching and business development, and people sort of arriving or achieving their potential. And it's thought-based. So, for example, the 5 aspects of imposter syndrome are rejection sensitivity, depressed entitlement, perfectionism, lack of confidence, and feeling like a fraud. And each of those is a thought-based experience. So if you think about rejection sensitivities, I want people to like me, I want to be liked. But actually, if I change that thinking to, well, I am liked, my family like me, my dog likes me. If you haven't got anybody that likes you, talk to me separately. It's a different problem. I haven't got time for that today. Depressed entitlement. I don't deserve this. I don't deserve to win this fantastic client. But I do deserve to grow. So I do deserve to have the opportunity to learn. So maybe I'll have a go. Perfectionism. It's not good enough. I can't do it yet. It's not right. I can't do it yet. But actually, it's good enough for now. And as long as you're not doing any harm and you're not doing any damage, I'm not suggesting that you drop your standards. But sometimes we can spend so much time getting something perfect that we actually don't do the thing we need to do.
Excellent's good enough.
Excellent is good enough.
Excellent is good enough.
We're back to perspective. That depends on your interpretation of excellent.
Sure.
Lack of confidence is very much a thought-based thing. It's thinking that people are more important or better than you. They're people. We're all human beings. It doesn't matter what color we are, where we grew up, how old we are. None of those things make any difference. We're just human. And your track record of handling human-to-human interaction up to now is 100%. You've always handled it. I know that's true because you're still here. And as long as you're still here, you've proved that you'll just handle it and you'll get on with it and you'll be fine. So if you can remember, it might be scary, but I'll handle it, then that helps break through that feeling of fear. And feeling like a fraud, well, we've got this thing called a mask, and I'll show you that now. That inner well-being, that I'm okay, I'm fine, I can handle any situation, I like to think of it like a diamond. Going to school, we learn a lot of stuff that we might sort of think of, forgive the terminology, but as bullshit, or horse manure, or something else that you might like to give it a name for. But it's like a thick layer of stuff that's piled on the top of the diamond that goes, I couldn't do that. I'm not the sort of person who, this isn't something I could do. They won't like this. They'll think that. And what we do is we put a thick layer of shiny nail varnish on the outside and go, this is who I really am. Look how confident I am. And underneath, you're not feeling it. The cool thing to do is just simply lose the mask, lose the fake outside, and then let go of the stories that you've created that make you think you're not confident, because they are just stories, they're not real. And then you're able to shine through. And when you're shining, when you're just in your okayness, you're in your innate well-being, confidence is just there. If you've got a question to ask somebody, you just ask them. You wouldn't not ask them, if it makes sense. So we have this inbuilt design for success, joy, and happiness, and this incredible ability to create the clouds, to create the illusion that it's not there. So the I'm not good enough thought is just a thought. And confidence is there, always there, when you let your thinking about not being confident just slip away. In the interest of giving you a healthy break, I think we'll just wrap up on this final thought. Comfort zones. So again, we're talking about that feeling of confident and comfortable. Grow. They grow. Go back 10 years to something you did for the first time, or any time in your career. You did something you did for the first time. Oh, it's a bit scary. It doesn't feel, but I'll do it. I'll do it. And what happens is your brain goes, okay, let's get out of the comfort zone. Okay, I did the thing, but I'm going back to comfy. The next time you do that thing, perhaps the next time you go to a networking event or the next time you present, as it passes that first stretch point, it goes, okay, I've been there before. We didn't die. Let's have a look and see a bit further on the outside. But what's really exciting is that when it bounces back, it only goes to the previous stretch point. So then you go, okay, I did the presentation. I'll have another go and I'll do a bigger presentation. So it goes, okay, we did that. We didn't die. let's explore a bit further. And then when it bounces back, it only goes to the previous stretch point. So your comfort zone grows and it continues to grow. And I know you've probably heard this, do something that scares you every day. But you're not doing that just so that you spend every day being scared. You're doing it so that every day you're stretching that experience of your brain to go, okay, got that one, it's gone in my parietal lobe. I now know that isn't life-threatening, so we can do it again. I think the aim really of this session was to invite you to consider the possibility that confidence is always there. And when you let your thinking about not being confident get out of the way, you're back to being in your state of okay. And I don't mean like that kind of arrogant confident where you hand crush everybody when you shake hands and walk around strutting like you're something special. I mean the kind of confident that says, I'm okay and I'll handle it. And whatever it happens, it'll be all right. And it'll be all right in the end. And if it's not all right, it's not the end. So if I can't find an answer, I'll go and get an answer from somewhere else. But either way, I'll handle it. And that can give you an internal experience of I'm okay. And when you've got that I'm okay, it can make a huge difference. I am aware that I have one or two more slides, but I'm also very aware of the fact that you haven't had a break all morning. And I'm very conscious of the fact that you've been looking at a screen for a while. But I'm just interested. Unmute yourselves just for a second. Does any of that resonate with you? Does that make sense? And what do you think? Ian?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense to me.
Fantastic. Can you imagine what it would be like if your teams thought like this? I know we've just covered that in like 35 minutes.
Yeah.
What would it be like if they actually went, you know what, I am going to phone that client. I'm fine. And I am going to say no because I'm fine. And they'll be fine too.
Self-belief, self-confidence, there's a clue in there.
Yeah.
It's what you tell yourself.
Yeah.
Very good. Excellent, Mo. Similar to Ainsley, I wish we had more time. We'll certainly invite you back. Mo is part of the Gro Group, who we're working with to bring the training offering. So if you liked what you saw, let us know. And exactly similar to Ainsley, we'll get Mo back and we'll do a bit more if we can. I'm just looking for the right buttons to share my screen again.
Yeah. So we've got there's so much that we can talk about around this, and when I've seen it make a real difference in firms like yours is when especially the younger people coming in through the firm are quite happy making those calls, having those conversations, asking for instructions, and managing situations without fear.